And now for a Next News special report.
We've got a story that you'll need to hear to believe. Picture this: your neighborhood, renowned for its affluence, now a sanctuary for illegal immigrants. Well, that's what's happening in Naperville, Illinois. Councilman Josh McBroom has proposed a radical idea: rich residents opening their doors to those who've crossed the border illegally. It's not just a local story. It mirrors a larger, more concerning trend. From the suburbs of Chicago to the halls of Logan Airport in Boston, the response to the border crisis has taken a turn that's both unprecedented and controversial. We'll be diving deep into the issue and assure you want to stick around to the final thought. It's a perspective that might just change how you see the current state of our nation. It's not just news, it's a wake-up call about the direction our country is heading. Now, folks, before we dive into this eye-opening report, we do need to talk about preparedness. You know, the way our leaders are handling things, well, it's like they're inviting chaos. It's a mess, that could be fixed, but they're just watching it burn. If you're ready to face the truth and prepare for the worst, head over to preparewithgary.com. Right now, you can grab a $60 discount on a crucial 4-week emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's top preparedness company, offering meals that last 25 years with over 2,000 daily calories. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Be proactive. Visit preparewithgary.com. The link's in the description, and order by 3 p.m. for same-day shipping. Get prepared at preparewithgary.com before we're hit with total chaos. Now let's cut to the heart of the crisis that's hitting close to home, literally. In Naperville, Illinois, a suburb known for its wealth and comfort, City Councilman Josh McBroom has brought forward a proposal that's nothing short of radical. He's suggesting that affluent citizens of Naperville open up their homes as sanctuaries for illegal immigrants. You heard that right. In the middle of the border crisis, with illegal crossings at an all-time high, a local leader is asking his constituents to personally house those who've entered the country illegally. Watch.
I do know that there's a lot of people that do care, and I think we live in a compassionate community. So, before we go down the road of, doing what, following suit on some of these other cities are taking action on, my idea would be let's find out. Let's find out who's willing to help. We do hear from constituents on both sides of this. What are we going to do to preemptively stop this? And then we hear from people that tell us we should do more. So, we do have a very affluent community, a lot of big homes. And what I'd like to do is direct staff to create a sign-up sheet. So, for individuals that would be willing to house migrant families. And if there's people that would do that, God bless them. So if we could raise awareness in that way, I think we need to find out. I think we need to find out who would be willing to house migrant families. And so that would be my new business. I'd be looking for support from the dais. Any questions, discussion, happy to have that.
Wow. This proposal isn't just a casual suggestion. McBroom has gone as far as to propose creating a sign-up sheet for residents willing to take in migrant families. But this is not just McBroom. Fellow council members Nate Wilson, Paul Leong, and Jennifer Brusen-Taylor appear to back the suggestion, though no formal vote has been taken yet. So what is driving this? McBroom points to compassion, a noble sentiment, but is it practical or even safe? It's crucial to understand the broader context here. Under the Biden administration, we've seen a record number of illegal immigrants crossing the southern border. Texas, overwhelmed by the influx, has started sending them to sanctuary cities like Chicago. And now suburbs of Chicago, like Naperville, are feeling the pressure. But Naperville isn't alone in facing this dilemma. Chicago and Boston are turning their major airports into makeshift migrant shelters. In Boston Logan International Airport, they've begun housing immigrants, hundreds of illegal immigrants. This despite Massport's interim CEO, Ed Franchi, insisting that the airport is not an appropriate place for such activities. State officials have been pushing these migrants into the airport for months, even as they acknowledged that their shelter system was reaching its limits. Let's take a look. This appears to be Boston Logan Airport. Look at all the migrants sleeping on the ground. Now, I haven't traveled in a while, but I can only imagine what it would be like to go to O'Hare, because I know O'Hare's a mess. Ben Berquam's been documenting that. But then to, say, go from Chicago to Boston and then finding this. I mean, it's all over the country, and it's got to stop. We got to shut this border down. Now, the Massachusetts governor, Maura Healey, has called on President Biden to provide more funding and support, acknowledging that fixing the border situation and asylum process is critical. Yet the issue persists, with more and more illegal immigrants filling up airport corridors. And Chicago isn't far behind, with city officials stashing hundreds of migrants for over a year. It's gotten to the point where they've erected black plastic sheets at O'Hare Airport to hide the migrants from the airport users and city residents. Travelers are left with just a small aisle of space to navigate through the hallways. Take a look at this. Now, this appears to be from Ben Berquam's footage. Maybe it looks like Libs of TikTok grabbed this. I'm not sure, but Ben Berquam has really been at the forefront of this, traveling from city to city, exposing everything. But here you see Chicago.
It's an airport. It's an airport.
No, this doesn't appear to be Ben Berquam's footage. Maybe just a regular American. Now, these are the sheets we were talking about. On the other side are all the migrants, and you can see he's poking through there. But the signs say that you are not allowed to go on the other side of that barrier. You are restricted from going on the other side of that barrier. However, the immigrants here, they didn't seem to care about the barriers at our border, now did they? So another question arises. Are these responses adequate or even legal? As we see airports turn into shelters and affluent neighborhoods being asked to open their doors, one must ask, where is the line? Now let's take a step back and look at the broader picture. We've got a border crisis that's been brewing for years, and the current administration's policies or lack thereof are only exacerbating the situation. The concept of sanctuary cities, long debated, is now being tested in real time, but is turning our suburbs and airports into makeshift shelters the right answer? Seems like more of a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And it's not just about the practicality of the situation. There's also questions of legality and safety. Inviting strangers into homes and public spaces without proper vetting raises significant security concerns. Let's not forget the financial burden. Local resources are being stretched thin, and cities like Chicago and Boston calling for more federal funding to handle the influx. The situation begs for robust national policy on immigration, even though we have the laws in the books. Just close the border, send them to the right place. You want to come here legally. But it's something more substantial we obviously need now from the Biden administration. It's clear that a patchwork of local solutions isn't enough to address the problem of this magnitude. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has voiced his concerns, calling the influx of illegal immigrants an enormous strain on state resources. Meanwhile, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has condemned Texas, not Biden, for sending migrants to a city, but he too is grappling with how to handle the situation, actually being sent to the hospital over panic attacks. So this brings us to the heart of the matter. The current administration's policies, or the lack thereof, are not just failing to stem the tide of illegal immigration, they're pushing the burden onto local communities. Places like Naperville, Chicago, and Boston are left to deal with the consequences of a border crisis that's spiraling out of control. In a desperate attempt to find solutions, local leaders are coming up with proposals like McBroom's. It's a testament to the lack of leadership at the federal level. Sanctuary cities, once a topic of political debate, are now a harsh reality for many Americans. Let's not forget, this isn't just about policy, it's about people. These illegal immigrants, many fleeing desperate situations, are being shuffled from one temporary solution to another. So yes, there is a human element here that's getting lost in the politics, but the fact of the matter is they are here illegally. And if they want to come here, they got to do it the right way like everybody else. But what about the citizens of the communities? Their safety, their resources, and their way of life are now being impacted. This isn't just a border issue. It's a national crisis that's knocking on the door of every American. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. And now, my final thought. In closing, this story matters to every American. Naperville's proposal, while perhaps well-intentioned, is emblematic of a larger failure, a failure of federal leadership in dealing with the border crisis. It's a stark reminder that the policies of the current administration are not just ineffective, but they're forcing local communities to make risky, unsustainable decisions. Sanctuary cities and policies that turn airports into shelters are not long-term solutions. They are Band-Aids on a gaping wound. And it's time to visit the strong border policies of the Trump administration, policies that prioritize national security and legal immigration. We must have leadership that addresses the root of the problem, not one that passes the buck to local communities. The crisis at our border isn't just a political issue, it is an issue of national security and sovereignty. As citizens, we must demand more from our leaders. America is a republic built on laws, and it's time that we upheld them. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.